So it is my pleasure to introduce Caitlin Garman from Broad Futures, and she's going to give a presentation this evening about a wonderful internship program for neurodivergent students. And with that, I'm just going to turn it over to Caitlin.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Cecilia. And thank you everyone for letting me come to your meeting this evening. I'm Caitlin Garman. I'm the Director of Admissions and Outreach at Broad Futures. And I'm going to share some slides and talk to you all a little bit about our internship programs. So let me just do that. All right. Let me just scooch things over on my screen so I can see everything. Please feel free if you have a question or want clarification on something, you can throw it in the chat while I'm talking, and I'll leave plenty of time at the end where we can get to any questions. So, what is Broad Futures? We are a paid internship, mentoring, and training program for neurodivergent students and recent graduates. The really cool thing about our program is that all of our interns have some kind of learning or attention difference. So most commonly, we work with folks who have ADHD, a learning disability, or autism. But really, anyone who identifies as neurodivergent, obviously preaching to the choir here, it's a huge umbrella, is welcome to join our program. And our program is really cool because it's a paid work experience plus mentoring and support. So we're really looking for folks who kind of want to dip their toes into that career world, but have a little bit of the support along the way. And how we do this is we partner with several companies nationwide to place our interns in full-time paid internships. And then we at Broad Futures provide this mentoring and training support. So let me talk to you about our internship placement. So we work with 3 different companies that you can see up here. And on this slide, you can see the companies we work with and the kind of majors or academic studies that they are interested in recruiting. So our first partner is Booz Allen Hamilton. They're a consulting company. They're based in Northern Virginia, and they really like to recruit folks with computer science or data analysis backgrounds. So generally, we have interns with, computer science, software engineering, cloud computing, solutions engineering, software development, those kinds of backgrounds. However, we also often see folks be very successful at Booz Allen who have any kind of research and data analysis background. So maybe it's someone who's a history major or a psychology major, but they've done a lot of work either in classes or in other job experiences before, like digging into research, digging into data, being able to synthesize data and present that data. So those are the types of folks who do really well at Booz Allen. The internship there is just called a general management consultancy internship. Our next partner is General Dynamic Mission Systems, and these are all engineering internships. And in terms of location, they are located all across the country. So depending on which type of engineering you do, you'll be slotted in a different spot. And I know that sounds a little bit vague. We're hoping to get clarity soon on which exact locations. The last time we worked with GDMS last summer, we had folks in Alabama and in Florida. But for GDMS, they're really looking for any type of engineering. So electrical, mechanical, computer, software engineers. If you're an engineering person, that is the place for you. And then the last company we work with is Merck Pharmaceuticals. And that internship is a lab technician role. And it's in their West Point, Pennsylvania office. And so they're really looking for folks with hard science backgrounds. So biology, chemistry, molecular biology, biochemistry, biomedical engineering, those types of things. Our interns there last summer got to work on a vaccine development unit, which was really, really cool experience and very cool to hear about as someone without a science background. So those are the companies that we work with and the kind of backgrounds that most of the interns we place there have. Let me tell you a little bit about what the program looks like. So these are all 10 to 12 week programs and they're all in person. So you do need to relocate for the period of the internship to wherever the company is. Booz Allen Hamilton runs, we call it a winter program. It's really a spring semester program and a summer program. GDMS and Merck run summer programs. So the internships are full time, which means you're working about 40 hours a week, and they're all paid. So you do make a good chunk of change when you're working at these internships, which is nice, right? Because sometimes internships ask you to, take the learning as the payment, which is great, but it's also really nice to be able to make some money when you're spending your summer somewhere. And really, the focus of these internships is on developing some practical skills that will make you look, that will beef up your resume when you go to look for a full time job after you've completed your degree. Um, the cool thing about these internships also is that they are set up to look at the internship as a way to kind of vet for full-time employment. So a lot of our interns have gotten full-time job offers after they've completed the internship because they've really used their internship to show off their skills, to network a little bit. So it can lead to full-time employment after the internship is over. All throughout the program, while you're working, you are receiving virtual support from our Broad Futures staff. We do mentoring and coaching, as well as professional trainings. And we try to, all of the companies take a cohort of interns. So there'll be between 5 and 10 other Broad Futures interns with you at one of these companies. And so we really try to keep you all connected. We do some virtual gatherings, but also what's ended up happening in our past cohorts is our interns, because they're all, in West Point, Pennsylvania together, they've formed group chats, they've hung out after work, right? They've formed a nice little cohort. Let me tell you a little bit about the mentoring model because this is a big piece of our program. So the mentor is really there for a couple of reasons. The first is to help our interns set goals for themselves at the beginning of the program. And so those goals might be, to be able to network better or be able to manage their time at work better, right? You want to be able to get your work done between 9 and 5 instead of having a really hard time initiating work during those hours and having to bring work home with you, right? It's really dependent on what the intern wants to work on. So the mentor is there to help think about goals and set those goals with them. Then the mentor is going to check in with the intern like throughout the week. So at least one time, sometimes twice during the week and see, how you're doing. What's going on at work this week? Have there been any problems? Is there anything you're really proud of and you want to celebrate with someone? The mentor is also checking in with the on-site supervisor, which is really nice because sometimes the feedback is different. Sometimes an intern might think, I'm doing horrible, I'm not keeping up with the tasks, or I'm not producing enough quality work. And then the mentor talks to the manager and they're like, no, this intern is doing so well. They're killing it. They're producing amazing work. And maybe the manager just hasn't been able to express that well enough. So the mentor can share like, no, you're doing great. Keep going. Or the opposite, maybe the intern doesn't realize that they're not keeping up with their tasks well enough, or they're not, showing up on time. And so the mentor can help guide the manager to give that feedback so that our interns can really make changes in real time. And you don't have to wait until the end of the internship to find out, oh, there's something my manager wishes that I had been doing differently. So that's our mentoring model. And this picture I love. It's from our Booz Allen interns this summer. They were giving their final presentations. They gave their final presentations to everyone at Booz Allen who wanted to attend. It was really cool to see all the work that they had done over the summer. So just a little bit about some of the training that we do. So we do monthly professional training with all of the interns. We do it virtually via Zoom. And we're really looking at topics that are related to professional communication. So how do you network with people? How do you advocate for yourself at your job? How do you ask for accommodations at work? Because it is different at work than at school, right? That's a different skill. And sometimes we need different language or need to creatively think, okay, if I was given extended time on tests in college, and that was an accommodation that really, really helped me, what could that look like at work? And how would I ask for that? Right. And so that's part of what we're working with our interns on, developing those skills. We also talk a ton about executive functioning, right? Just helping our interns acclimate to, keeping up their stamina at work, time management, organization, because again, those things look different at college than they do in the workplace. And so on the right, you can just see a couple of the lessons that we do in our virtual trainings. One of my favorites is mock interviewing. We do a ton of mock interviewing practice. Interviewing can be one of the most stressful and toughest parts of finding a job. And so we do a ton of practice. So our interns just end up feeling so comfortable. They can talk about themselves confidently, talk about their strengths, talk about their experiences, and feel really ready to go into an interview setting wherever they want to go after our internship. And so I always love to talk about the outcomes of our national programs because I think they are really special. So we've been doing these for about 3 years. And so far, all of our interns have completed the program, which is really great, right? No one has started the program and said, oh, this isn't what I was looking for, or oh, this is too difficult, or oh, this isn't the right setting for me at all, right? Everyone's finished the program. And all of our employers have been satisfied with our interns and come back to ask for more interns the following year. So everyone, all of our employer partners have said, wow, you've given us such great interns. We want to keep working with you. And then the statistic that I am personally most proud of is that 70% of our interns have been given those full-time job offers. So our interns really are proving themselves in the workplace and they're getting something really tangible out of this internship, which is a full-time offer. So to talk a little bit about logistics, um, so the programs, like I said, Booz Allen Hamilton does have a spring semester program. In order to do the spring semester program, you really need to be taking a break from school. So if you're taking, a semester off, or if you're looking to do an internship during a semester, that's fine. Or if you're graduating in December, or have graduated, maybe someone has graduated the previous June and just hasn't landed anywhere, that's all perfectly fine. You just can't it's working full time is too much to balance with being enrolled in school, so can't do both, and you have to be in person in Northern Virginia. But if you are interested in that one, the deadline is December 6th, so about a month left to apply. And then Booz Allen, GDMS, and Merck will all have 2025 summer programs. The applications should be coming out in the next week or so. We are just waiting on final touches, but the good news is we have a national program interest form that you can fill out, and it just asks for your name, your email, your major, so we know which internship you would line up with. And if you fill that out, you'll get an email blast from us as soon as the application goes live, inviting you to apply. And those applications will stay open through February, so there will be plenty of time to apply and get your summer plans set. If you want to know more about our programs or see some testimonials from interns, you can head to our website, broadfutures.org. There's a lot of great information on there. I'm also going to put my information in the chat. You are more than welcome to reach out to me personally. I love nothing more than to talk about our programs and connect with folks who might benefit from them. So you're welcome to reach out to me. Anyone is welcome to pass my information along. And I'm also going to provide Cecilia and Rachel a copy of the slides at the end. So if you want to take a look back and say, oh, I wasn't sure which internship really fit me, you are welcome to do that. And so I think with that, I will pause and see if anyone on this call has any questions.
I actually had some questions.
Sure.
Um, so you mentioned, I think at the beginning that it could be people who have graduated or recent grads. Do you have a time frame for a recent grad?
Yeah, so our upper age limit is 26. That's the sort of important cutoff. If you've been out of school for more than 2 or 3 years, it's tough because our organization's mission is really to support young career professionals, and so our sweet spot is kind of folks who are either still in school or have just recently graduated. So I'd say within the last 2 years, you could still apply. Anything more than that gets us a little bit outside of our sort of target audience.
Great, thank you. And then people have to get their own transportation to get to the internship site, and they have to find somewhere to live. Is there any assistance for even finding somewhere to live, or how does that work?
Yeah, great question. So, for Merck, they will pay a relocation fee. They'll pay a stipend at the beginning of the internship to help you if you're not from, West Point, Pennsylvania, to help you get there and to help you pay for housing. And the other two do not because they are fully paid internships. In terms of housing, all three companies have really large and robust internship programs outside of us, and our interns kind of join in that cohort. So they all have like housing resource guides and housing support where they will help you figure out where to live. Um, Most of them, all of our interns at Merck last summer lived with other interns, not necessarily Broad Futures interns, but other folks who were also interning. There was housing nearby that Merck kind of guided folks to. And then worst case scenario, if you're feeling really stuck, that's why we're the middleman, right? We're happy to help support finding housing, figuring out all those logistical pieces that can often seem overwhelming. But if you're qualified for the job, we want to make sure you get there.
Awesome, awesome. Um,
I've got a question, Caitlin.
Sure.
Um, can you talk a little bit about the application process, and like what's expected for that so students will know what they might need to prepare for or gather?
Yeah, absolutely. So for each of the applications, it's pretty short. We do require everyone submit a resume. It's okay if you don't have any work experience before, that's okay. But we just do want a resume. We also ask that you submit a transcript. It does not have to be an official transcript. Don't go paying for a transcript. It can be an unofficial one. You can take a screenshot from whichever platform you use. So resume, transcript, and then we ask for two references. And it's really important that at least one of those references be an academic reference. So a professor who can speak to your skills. If you have work experience, it would be great to have a supervisor. If not, you can go ahead and go with two academic references. And then our application will really just ask you kind of to check off which skills apply to you, right? Do you have a background in cloud computing or electrical engineering? We ask why you're interested in this particular internship, since it is a little different than a standard internship, right? We want to know why you want to come work with us and get the support from us. And then after the application, we do a screening interview with Broad Future staff. So we will set up a time to talk with you over Zoom for about 20 or 30 minutes and just dig in a little bit more to your background, what kind of experiences you have, and really make sure that you're a good fit. Then what we do with each of the companies is we send your application package along. Sometimes they will want to have an additional short interview. Sometimes they won't. And then from there, you'll find out whether you have been hired for the summer.
And typically, what's the time frame of when students would hear or find back, in the spring before the summer?
Yeah, I would say between 3 and 4 weeks, which seems like a long time. And I know that's a long time to wait if you filled out an application, but it takes us a minute to schedule your interview, to check with your references, to kind of send you along. Um, I think it's great that we are sort of the middleman providing that support, but it also means there's like an extra step when you submit your application. And so that's what the waiting game can be a little bit. But, we do not mind getting emails asking, hey, what's going on with my application? So if you're ever nervous about it, you could always email and ask.
Wonderful, wonderful. You probably mentioned this at the beginning, but I just wanted to make sure I understood that in this internship program, you just have to be self-identified as neurodivergent in some way.
Correct. You do not have to have any proof of disability. Obviously, that can be really hard to get an evaluation. And we trust that people know themselves. And if you are thinking, I know how my brain works and I know I can use this extra support, apply, join us. We want to serve those who, know that they need that extra support when they're entering into the working world.
Excellent, excellent. Um, I see we're at about 7:20. Um, are there any other questions for Caitlin? And then Rachel is going to talk about how she and her group are going to support the application process. So any more questions for Caitlin that people can think of right now? Let's see what's in the chat. Oh, it's your email address. Thank you so much.
I
I
have
don't,
a question, Cecilia.
excellent. Yes, Nikki.
So does Broad Futures ever do internships for uh sorry, hold on, lost the word. Uh like um outside of the STEM field of like engineering or computers or things like that? Like are there like healthcare fields or things like that that Broad Futures has worked with?
Yeah, great question. So we do have a DC based program that has some different types of internship categories outside of STEM. In our DC-based program, we have internships that are in congressional research and policy, communications and marketing, hospitality, and general administration. Our DC program is a bit different because for two reasons. One, there's a participation fee that you need to pay, and it's in person in Washington, DC. And then two, we do require proof of disability for that program. If you are interested in one of those programs, please reach out to me or head to our website. You can attend one of our monthly info sessions where we talk about our DC program. But those are kind of the options for things outside of STEM.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Wonderful. Okay. If there aren't any more questions for Caitlin, let's just hear from Rachel about the wonderful support that she's going to be able to give people who are applying.
Great. Well, thanks, Celia. And thank you again, Caitlin, for sharing about Broad Futures. I think this is just a wonderful opportunity. And I also heard too that perhaps you're still continuing to look into new companies and new places too. So
Yes.
Nikki, who knows? Keep checking back. There
Right.
might be additional opportunities coming down the future. But I was so grateful that the three of us, and as well as Anna Barrett from the Accessible Educational Services Office, could get together and learn more initially. But as far as how I can support, so my name's again Rachel Gerber, and I am the Associate Director at the Career Exploration and Student Employment Office. And also, what part of my job is to support our students and student groups, student organizations, and these non-academic units who serve, all ages and stages. So our cultural centers, the Center for Disabilities, um, Center for Veterans and Military Students, all of those types of students. But part of it is to support groups like the neurodiversity crew. And so please, students, as you're thinking about, is Broad Futures right for me? Perhaps you need some support with that professional resume, what that might look like. Definitely reach out to me. I'll throw my email here in the chat so you can schedule and we can get a time together to talk about, look at your resume, and if you don't have something, we can definitely pull something together and work at that. So know that you have support 100% here on campus, that we can actually help you to get all of those application materials in, as those deadlines draw near. So again, I'll throw my email here in the chat for you. So please feel free to reach out, and I can be flexible. And if for some reason our schedules just never collide, we definitely have lots of other fine folks in our office that I'm sure one of us will be willing to meet with you here as needed. So yeah, I think that's it. Cecilia, is there anything else that you need from me or questions?
That is wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Rachel. And yes, thank you again, Caitlin, for reaching out. I think you reached out to Rachel, and Rachel, thank you for following up and contacting the Neurodiversity Coalition. We really appreciate this amazing opportunity, and um, really, I really can't even say how much, as a former career counselor, how important internships are, and these are just amazing opportunities. So thank you for coming, and we will be making this recording available for students so that they can learn, so that we can have many people learning about this wonderful opportunity. So thank you, Caitlin,
Thank
and
you so much for having me. Have a wonderful night, everyone.
yeah, and thank you, Rachel. I'm going to stop the recording now.